Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am Brianna Lentz, and today we are going to be making these very fun and simple reversible tote bags. I have them in two different styles here, just with the handles, but these are completely reversible and they are so simple. These are very fast for an experienced sewer, and these are extremely achievable for a beginner sewer. So yeah, this is super cute, super fun, and really doesn't take much time or materials. So if you are sewing on a budget, this is something else that's really, really great. So as you can see, this bag was completely reversible. These two bags are my daughter's trick-or-treat bags for Halloween this year, 2024. And I used on their bags this trim that I got from Hobby Lobby for $1.99 a yard. And then for the bag that I'm going to show you how to make today is this really, really fun unicorn fabric with this gem lining fabric. And then these handles were only 99 cents a yard at Hobby Lobby, so that's up to you. You can always make your own, but for my video, to keep it easy for a beginner sewer, we're just going to do that. So I felt like for 2 yards at 99 cents, this kept it really achievable. I'm going to go into everything that you need here in a minute, but all you need really is 2 half yards of cotton fabric and your handles of choice. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started on making this really, really fun and simple tote bag that you can use for all kinds of things. For example, I've got trick-or-treat bags over here, and then my daughter is going to use this as her new library bag. All right, let's get started. The first thing that you're going to need to do is you're going to need to pick out your fabric. You will just need a half a yard of the outer fabric and a half yard of the inner fabric, and then you will need 50 inches of your straps. So my outer fabric is this really pretty unicorn fabric, and I have it cut to 13 inches by 16 inches for both the outside fabric and the inside fabric or your lining. Now, for my lining, it didn't matter which way I cut it because they're just gems, so it didn't really matter. But for my unicorn fabric, it did matter. So just be cautious when you're cutting your fabric that you have it going the right way, because if I were to have cut it this way, my unicorns wouldn't be going the right way, they'd be going sideways. So just make sure that when you cut your directional fabric, that you cut it the way that you need to, okay? So I have it 13 inches high by 16 inches wide, making sure that my unicorns are going up and down. And if you have directional fabric, just be cautious of that. Okay, so I cut these to exactly the same size, and then I already cut my straps so that I have two 25-inch straps. You can adjust these straps to whatever you like, but for my daughter who's 7, this worked out really well for her to be able to carry this as a really easy book bag that's comfortable for her. I want to mention that the great thing about this bag is that there is no interfacing. You don't need to have any box corners. This is really ideal for a beginner sewer, or if you just need to make a bag or something super fast, this is a great gift because all we're going to be doing is doing pretty much straight lines, and it's very simple. So these are all the products that you need, and you should be able to do this on a budget. The next step that we need to take to make this bag is we need to sew the outside fabric and the inside fabric. So I'm going to be pinning these fabrics right side together, and I will only be sewing the sides and the bottom. We will not be sewing the top. I'll show you in just a minute. So to pin this, all I'm going to do, so that way I don't mess up anything, is I'm going to take my top, put it on the bottom, and place my bottom, and put it on top. I'm going to go iron out these wrinkles, and then I'm only going to pin the sides and the bottom and this side, and repeat for the lining. now that both my outer fabric and my inner fabric is pinned, I'm going to go take this to the machine and just do a 1/2 inch seam allowance, 1/4 inch seam allowance, whatever, all the way around. All that matters is that you're consistent. Okay, so if you're a beginner sewer, just use or if you're advanced or whatever, just use the side of your presser foot and that should be just fine. I'll show you on the machine. We're just going to sew 3 out of the 4 sides and make sure that you backstitch a little bit at the beginning and at the end just to secure those stitches. Take your time because you want these to end up being the same size because we're going to sandwich them together, so they need to be uniform, okay? So I will show you what I'm going to do on the machine, showing you what I'm going to use as my guide, and then I'll meet you back here once these are sewn. Okay, see my presser foot? I'm going to use the edge of my presser foot as my guide, which is about 1/4 inch. And I'm just going to use that all the way through. And because my pieces are cut the same, if I use the same seam allowance, they'll all end up the same. And if I need to cut extra off, I can. But yeah, I'm going to run my fabric right through there. And don't forget to backstitch to lock those stitches in really good. All right, now that you have sewn everything but the top, remove your pins. Now that you have removed your pins from both your outer and inner fabric, you can trim down your seam allowance if you want. I should have about 1/4 inch, and I will trim this down to 1/8 inch all the way around. And I will also make sure to clip my corners, and I never clip too close. But just remove some of that bulk. All right, now that all of our prep work is done, we get to the point where we get to start making our bag. So what we want to do to get to this point is we want to keep our outside fabric turned right side, or turned inside out with right sides touching. However, we do want to turn our lining fabric right side out. And I will take this to my machine and give it a really good press. And then I am going to tuck this into my outer fabric. My lining fabric has been pressed. I made sure to push out my corners. If you don't have like a little pokey stick, just use a blunt pencil or coloring pencil. And just tuck it inside. And if you did your job correctly, these should fit well. All right, sometimes you have to give it a little shake, but these should fit really good. So the tops of my, Josie, the tops of my outer fabric and my inner fabric are the same and they fit really nice. So the first thing you want to do at this point is you want to make sure that your sides marry each other really well to give you a really nice clean finish. So just like in quilting, you're going to kind of sandwich your layers, and I'm going to put a clip there. Then I'm going to go to the other side and repeat the same thing. And I'm going to open my curtains to bring in a little bit more light.
I can do that for you.
I'm okay, thanks, Jules. And then what you want to do is to make sure that everything stays where it needs to for the next step. If you have clips, clip around the top. If you have pins, pin around the top. That's completely up to you. I like using clips for these reasons. I use pins a lot more than I used to now, just because it really helps things not shift for me, but these clips definitely have a purpose. All right, so now that you have it clipped and ready to go, the next step is we need to do our straps. So for my bag, my preference is going to be, I'm going to be inserting this strap in between my outer fabric and my lining fabric, making sure that it's not twisted. And I'm going to be going 4 inches from the outside. So 4 inches is where the outer edge of my strap is going to hit. 4 inches for the outer strap right here, okay? And I'm going to insert that in, and then I'm going to repeat the same to the other side. And when you're pinning and when you're sewing, you want your straps to be as straight as possible, because if they're a little bit curved, your straps are going to be a little bit curved, okay? So just take your time on this, because this is where taking your time is going to be key. Another thing that you can do is if you have one of those erasable pens, like water soluble or heat marker pens, I completely forgot about this. You could have just marked within 4 inches on both sides, and that would have made your life a lot easier. If you hear stomping in the background, it's my kids. We're getting ready to go to theater. Okay, but just repeat what you did on the other side to the remaining side, and then we'll get ready for the next part. All right, so I have inserted my strap on the other side. And so the most important thing is that they match on both sides, okay? And so we are completely ready to go. Now, the last thing that I want to do is I want to mark where I'm going to be turning this right side out, because you might have been thinking, okay, like, how do I get this right side out? It's right here. You're going to give yourself about 3 inches or 2.5 inches right here at the top corner. you are going to start sewing about here and go all the way around, and then you're going to stop sewing right over here. And then this little pocket is where you turn everything out. So you need to make sure that you start and stop and backstitch a couple different times at the beginning and the end, because you're going to be putting a lot of stress on these stitches when we pull everything right side out, but it's going to be like magic. Okay, so mark yourself. Let's see, I want to go about here to about here, and that should give me enough space. So this is where I'm going to start sewing, and I'm going to use the edge of my presser foot, making sure that I catch my straps, and I'm actually going to sew over my straps twice just to make sure that I have them in there really good. And I'm going to go all the way around over to here, and I'm going to go back stitch a couple different times, and then I will meet you there and we'll pull this right side out all together. All right, so once you have sewn it, this is what it should look like, and this should be your opening right here. And I am just going to snip off the little bit of extra. Okay. All right, now you need to turn it right side out. And I did double stitch. Where's it at? Okay. So if you did your job correctly, you should have an outside fabric, your outside fabric, your inside fabric, and your straps. And you'll need a poker to be able to poke out those corners and get everything nice and flat. And then we're gonna iron it, and I'm gonna show you what we're gonna do. We have one more step to do to finish this off.
We're probably going to mostly use the unicorn side.
Okay, at this stage, what you want to do is you're going to iron this how you want it to lay, and you're going to iron these last little seams inward, because we're going to just top stitch all the way around to finish the bag. 1, to seal this, and 2, we're going to make everything behave how we want it to. And there you have it. You are all sealed up. I changed my thread to purple, so you can also change your thread to whatever coordinating thread you want, since this is top stitching. And my straps match, and she is ready to take this to the library. By the way, this fabric is so fun. So yeah, so it was a really simple project. As a beginner sewer, you should be able to do this. As an intermediate to advanced sewer, you should be able to whip this up really quickly. And having these pre-made straps just makes everything a lot faster. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope that you found it interesting. I hope that you learned something. Please leave me a comment down below if you did learn something or try this tutorial. I would love to hear from you. Don't forget to like this video if you found it enjoyable, and don't forget to subscribe, because I have a lot of tutorials coming out. Thank you so much for spending your time with me, and I will see you guys in my next project and my next video. Bye!